So, before we try to get our way in here, and I want to talk about Kirkwall a bit, but let's take a look at the codex here, since we get to have some background on some characters and various other things. So, our protagonist, Marion Hawk. The daughter of Malcolm Hawk and Leandra Amell, Marion has lived in many places throughout Ferelden. Her father and younger sister Bethany were apostate mages. Thus the family was constantly on the move, avoiding Templar hunters. 10 years ago, the family settled in the village of Lothering, building a home on the outskirts and making a life where they wouldn't forever be on the run. Though Leandra worried constantly that the Templars would one day catch up with them, Malcolm kept his abilities a secret and taught his daughter to do the same. He died 3 years ago, leaving Marion responsible for the welfare of her mother and younger siblings. When the Blight began, Marion and Carver quickly enlisted in King Caelan's regiment. The hordes spilling from the Kokari wilds meant their home would be quickly overrun if the Darkspawn were not defeated immediately. However, the Battle of Ostagar ended with the betrayal and death of King Caelan. Marion and Carver barely escaped the chaos with their lives and returned to Lothering to get their mother and Bethany out with only moments to spare. Carver grew up surrounded by magic he couldn't truly understand. He cared deeply for his family, but sometimes felt like the stupidest person in the room. Carver foundered in Lothering, caught between the gifts of his apostate sister, Bethany, and the growing skill of his more focused sibling, Marion. But even as Carver groused about his lot, he remained dedicated to protecting those he loved. He didn't think twice about sacrificing himself to save his mother during the flight from the Darkspawn. And although Carver struggled to find his way in life, there is gratification in knowing his death had purpose. You are required to do nothing, least of all believe. Ages ago, legend says that Ban Conobar took to wife a beautiful young woman who harbored a secret talent for magic, Flemeth of Highever, and for a time they lived happily, until the arrival of a young poet, Osin, who captured the lady's heart with his verse. They turned to the Chastened tribes for help and hid from Conobar's wrath in the wilds, until word came to them that Conobar lay dying. His last wish was to see Flemeth's face one final time. The lovers returned, but it was a trap. Conobar killed Osin and imprisoned Flemeth in the highest tower of the castle. In grief and rage, Flemeth worked a spell to summon a spirit into this world to wreak vengeance upon her husband. Vengeance she received, but not as she planned. The spirit took possession of her, turning Flemeth into an abomination, a twisted, maddened creature she slaughtered, Conobar and all his men, and fled back into the wilds. For 100 years, Flemeth plotted, stealing men from the Chastened to sire monstrous daughters, horrific things that could kill a man with fear. These Kokari witches led an army of Chastened from the wilds to strike at the Alamari tribes. They were defeated by the hero Cormac, and all the witches burned, so they say. But even now the Wilders whisper that Flemeth lives in the marsh, and she and her daughters steal those men who come too near. Morrigan's mother saved the last Grey Wardens from death at the top of the Tower of Ishal. But just who or what Flemeth truly is a mystery. Until we, of course, get to Inquisition. Kokari Wilds. The city of Kirkwall. Kirkwall once lived on the edge of the Tevinter Imperium and was home to nearly 1 million slaves. Stolen from elven lands or shipped from across the sea, all slaves fed the Imperium's unquenchable thirst for expansion. They worked in massive quarries and sweltering foundries that produced stone and steel for the Empire. The city's complicated past is not easy to forget, history having earmarked many corners of the Stone City. A ship approaching the harbor spots the city's namesake, an imposing black wall. It is visible for miles, and carved into the cliffside are a pantheon of vile guardians representing the old gods. Over the years, the Chantry has effaced many of these profane sentinels, but it will take many more years to erase them all. Also carved into the cliff is a channel that permits ships into the city's interior. Flanking the channel are two massive bronze statues, the Twins of Kirkwall. The statues have a practical use. Kirkwall sits next to the narrowest point of the waking sea, and a massive chain net that can be erected between the statues and the lighthouse, closing off the only narrow navigable lane. This stranglehold on sea traffic is jealously guarded by the ever-changing rulers of the sea, as the net trolls taxes, tolls, and extortions in from the sea. So yeah, those statues and such over there are basically meant to help tell people, like the slaves, that, yeah, guess what? Your life is over. It's worthless. It's worth nothing. And you are here to be broken down. We're going to break you and make you a slave that will do our bidding and serve our needs until you have come to accept that there is no hope left for you. That's Kirkwall and the Gallows. This place is called the City of Chains. They didn't change that name. It's still called that even afterwards. This is a place that needs to be eradicated from existence. But it's still here. Still here.
What are we going to do?
So unfortunately, I tried to have a mod here where I can actually get a version of the champion's armor that we get later on here for me to pick up and just kind of have with me through the game. Doesn't seem to be working, so oh well. By the way, I want to point out I have a quick save button. I want to make that point for when we get to Mass Effect Andromeda, because, ugh.
Get back to the crowd, you lot. Trying to bully your way through won't get you into Kirkwall any faster.
But you do intend to let us in.
We have enough poor of our own in the free marches. We don't need you refugees piling up here like a middens heap.
Why aren't we being allowed into the city?
If it were up to me, I'd bar the gates and let you find somewhere else to beg. But it's not. Some of you lot might have legitimate business in the city. So Knight Commander Meredith wants us to sort you all out. Most of you are getting right back on your ships, though.
That's a Templar title. Why would a city guardsman answer to the Templars?
We don't answer to her, but she's the power in Kirkwall. Don't know what would happen if the Viscount went against something she wanted, but he's sure never taken that chance.
I heard someone call this fortress the Gallows. Is it a prison?
Used to be. Back in the Imperial days. They kept slaves here until the rebellion. Now the Templars run it, and use it to lock up their mages. Guess not much has changed.
Are mages imprisoned here?
Well, no more than anywhere else. It's a circle of magi now. Magic is to serve man, not rule him. And mages are better locked up where they don't hurt anyone.
Yeah, get used to that kind of rhetoric from the people here. Is that the right word? You know, you're going to hear stuff like that a lot in this city because it's kind of being hammered in.
There must be someone in charge I can speak with.
Yes, always the same story. You want in, talk to Captain Ewald. I'm just here to keep you refuse from climbing the walls.
The gates are shut. Not a good sign for a lot of people.
Was Wesley based out of the Lothering Chantry? I don't remember ever seeing him there.
He served elsewhere. He was coming to find me at Ostagar. Were you familiar with every Templar in Lothering?
How else was I supposed to know when to run and hide?
Such is the life of a mage, Aveline.
You cannot enter.
Especially an apostate.
We're not animals you can just corral.
We've no intention of keeping anyone here, Sirrah. You're all going back to where you came from.
My men and I fought against the Blight. We're heroes.
Deserters, you mean? It doesn't matter. Kirkwall has no more room for anyone.
Let us through, you flaming blighter. We're not staying in this pit.
Then get back on your ship and leave. Kirkwall has no more room for refugees.
The ship's already gone. We've paid good coin to get here.
You and half of Ferelden. There's nothing I can do. The city is full.
One of the guards said you were letting in people who have business in the city.
That's right. We've seen you let lots of people through.
Citizens and merchants that make it worth our while. I'll assume that you don't have any more coin than these gentlemen. We've been letting you Fereldans in for months. You're too late. There's no more room.
But we have family here. Doesn't that mean anything?
I've heard claims like that 1,000 times already, trust me. We'll find some ships to take you all back to Ferelden, eventually. Until then, you stay here.
We came here to speak to our uncle, Gamlen Amel. And we won't leave until we do.
Gamlen? I know that name.
He's a nobleman here in the city. Our family has an estate.
A nobleman? The only Gamlen I know is a weasel who couldn't rub 2 coppers together. He comes back, I'll bring you to him. But I don't have time to...
What? You gonna let them through?
I didn't say anything about...
We've been here for 4 days. They just got here.
That's it. We're carving our way out of here. Men?
Now we...
Yeah, we'll talk more about Gamlen later.
Well, next.
Unbelievable.
Captain, are you all right?
I am, no thanks to you. Where is everyone? Go find them. I want this kept under control. You have my thanks. Look, I can't get you into the city. It's not my decision. But I'll find your uncle and bring him here.
Thank you. Now, here is an issue with this game. I'll talk about it more in a moment. But listen to what Aveline says.
It's been 3 days. This wait
Right there.
needs to end.
I'm sure it won't be much longer. Gamlen must still be looking for us.
And if he's not?
This must be him now.
Hey, Gamlen.
Leandra. Damn, girl. The years haven't been kind to you.
Gamlen!
Right away, the first thing he says in this game, it's just like, well, I immediately don't like you.
I wasn't expecting this. The Blight, your husband, dead. I'd figured you'd pretty much be Ferelden for life.
Oh, Gamlen. We came too late. My poor carver didn't make it, and Drastic guide him.
Oh, make her save me. Leandra, don't drop this on me here. I don't even know if I can help you get in.
I really don't like Gamlen. What he does, what he did, and the way he then tries to defend it, tried to put it on, blame Leandra for it and make it seem like it's her fault. But I want to go back to what I was pointing out earlier. 3 days have gone by. This is an issue with this game, is that it does these time jumps and time skips and make it seem as if it's nothing. And they make it seem as if nothing has happened. Like, later on, it's going to be like 3 years pass, and then it feels like it's the very next day. And it's like, what happened in those 3 years? Anything? And it feels like nothing happened. 3 days just passed. What happened during these last 3 days? What did they do? Did they just literally sit here and do nothing? I've talked about this before in games like Warcraft when it comes to the lore and the whole thousands of years ago, and then thousands of years passed where literally nothing happened in those thousands of years, because they think adding more time makes it more meaningful or have more significance, and it doesn't. It's fake significance. Saying 3 days passed doesn't mean anything. It literally could be an hour later and literally nothing here would be different. But it gets worse later on. After we're done with this whole section, a year passes, and we don't get to actually see what happens or get to actually play it out or experience it. Nope, just a year passes. That's it. Okay. It's getting so irritating now when you think about it. Like, especially for me, like, the more I think about it and the more often it happens in other games and stories, I'm like, seriously? You're just gonna have that much time pass and literally nothing happens? Anyways.
There are other ways to get into a city.
That didn't turn out so well for those deserters earlier. I hate to agree, but there's a reason they housed us in an old prison.
I was hoping to grease some palms, but the Knight Commander's been cracking down. We're gonna need more grease.
But what about the estate? Surely Father left something when he died?
Right, about the estate. It's, gone. To settle a debt. I've been meaning to write you.
Then there's no hope.
Not quite. I know some people who might help. If you're not too delicate about the company you keep.
Do we need to stay in Kirkwall? Let's go to another city.
This was my home. I can't believe they won't let me come back.
Every city on the coast's been hip-deep in Ferelden since the Blight. You could try your luck further inland, I suppose, but it won't be easy.
No, we're not putting Mother through that.
We'll find a way.
Mother said our family was wealthy. You really can't help us.
I am blighted helping. I've got 2 offers of work from people who've got the coin to open those gates.
I still can't believe you sold the estate. Gamlin, how could you?
Well, I didn't expect your blasted family to show up on my doorstep. I've got a nice place in Lowtown. You'll see, it'll all work out.
Again, don't like Gamlin.
What do you mean exactly, Gamlin?
I talked to my contacts, and I found some people who might be willing to pay your way into the city. The catch is, you and your sister have to work off the debt. For a year.
A year?
It's the best I could do. Trust me when I say a bunch of refugees won't get a better option anywhere else.
We cut down dozens of Darkspawn and an ogre to get here. That has to count for something.
Unless you brought an ogre's head along on the boat, I doubt it. I managed to convince my contacts to come to the Gallows to meet you personally. Marion heads up the mercenary company, the Red Iron. They're looking for recruits. Fenrir, I guess you might call her a smuggler. Either one of them can help you. All you need to do is find them in the courtyard and convince them you're worth the trouble.
What do you think about this, Bethany?
We've come this far. I don't care who we work for, as long as it means we don't have to go back.
How dangerous is this smuggler's work?
Well, it won't be pretty working for her. She's a pretty small fish compared to some of the other thieves' guilds around here. But she's tough, she's fair, and she never deals in slaves or flesh.
What kind of man is this Marion?
He's a hired sword. What do you expect him to be like? I wouldn't bring him home for dinner or anything, but he's got a decent reputation. I wouldn't have asked him if I thought he'd cross you.
Let's find them and see what they have to say.
Oh, Gamlin, I don't know about this.
It's a lot of coin, Leandra. Don't go expecting our name to carry the kind of weight it used to.
And what of me? I will not allow others to incur debts on my behalf.
Can't see that it makes a difference. You look like a lady who can pull her own weight.
Then you'll come with us.
I have no real option. Thank you.
Statues of tortured slaves, that's right, you can see them around the room, filled the Gallows courtyard, a ghastly memento of Kirkwall's history. 1,500 years ago, Kirkwall was the Tevinter Imperium's largest quarry, feeding the construction of the Imperial Highway. The Imperium's hunger for expansion led to legions of slaves forced into working the quarry. When the Empire's construction phase ended, Kirkwall slid naturally into its new role as the capital of the slave trade, the Gallows at its heart. The statues are not monuments to the suffering of slaves. Every inch and angle of the courtyard was designed by magisters bent on breaking the spirit of newcomers. Executions here took place daily, sometimes hourly, and corpses were hung from gibbets throughout the yard. New slaves trudging in from the docks saw what awaited them. When Our Lady turned her armies against the Imperium, the slaves of Kirkwall revolted and claimed the city for themselves. The gallows stood empty for 200 years, not to be reopened until the crowning of divine Justinian I. The gallows transformed the city again, when the abandoned prison tower became the home of Kirkwall's Circle. That's right. This is the home of the Circle. I mean, you can kind of get an idea as to why, right? I mean, after all. Alright, so I believe in my original run we sided with the mercenary and went ahead and just kind of joined her. So I think this time we'll join the Red Iron, but first let's go ahead and talk to her.
Are you a Fenrir?
You must be Gamlen's niece. Interesting. I don't know what he told you about us, but he certainly told us a great deal about you.
He didn't say anything about me, did he?
Enough to pique our interest, provided you can justify your uncle's confidence.
How did you get to be one of my uncle's contacts?
Is that what he calls me? He owes us after that last big idea. If you turn out, though, we'll consider things even.
I hear getting us into the city isn't cheap.
If you're as good as your uncle claims, we're hoping you'll be worth it. After all, it's not every day we're offered an apostate's services.
It appears our uncle likes to talk.
The Templars in Kirkwall like to think they have all mages properly leashed, but when has that ever been true? We can keep them from taking notice while you're with us. Wouldn't be the first time.
I'd like to know more about what we'd be doing for you.
I can be honest. We don't compete with the Thieves Guild, but we keep our fingers in a lot of pots. That said, we're not killers or slavers. Anything short of that, however, is fair game.
Do what you want, but this sounds fishy to me.
We can't afford to be choosy.
I'll find some other way into the city.
Suit yourself. I'll be around for a bit, if you change your mind.
Marion?
And you must be Hawk. Nice. Your uncle talked up a storm about you. He better not be blowing more smoke out his arse.
My uncle doesn't seem like the sort to hang out with mercenaries.
He doesn't. Gamlen cheated one of my men at a wallop match. You turn out, we'll call it even.
Getting us into the city will take a lot of coin.
Did I mention the Red Iron gets paid pretty well? Not to mention your uncle said your sister's a mage. We're willing to pay for that.
Does everyone know about us?
Your sister's not in the circle yet. Then probably not. You stick with us. You'll be safe. For the year, at least.
I'd like to know more about you first.
Right. You're not a marcher like your uncle. The Red Iron is well known in these parts. We pick who we work for and keep our noses clean. But anyone screws with us, we mess them up. Makes sense.
Makes sense. I never pictured myself as the mercenary type.
I'm ready to prove myself.
Noble bastard named Friedrich is here in the Gallows. Gave us bad info. Almost killed my men. Now he's hiding out here, waiting for a ship. He sees us coming, he'll run for sure. But he doesn't know you. Go kill him and his men. We'll make sure no one asks why.
Have you checked the courtyard again?
He's still out there, but he's alone. And he's not making a move.
I don't trust this. What will we do when the ship comes? Wait, who are you? I demand to know what you're doing here.
You're a dead man, Friedrich.
Mirren sent you. Don't just stand there. Kill them!
To arms!
Guard yourself, there's more coming!
I'll deal with this. It's done.
Good. May the bloody vultures feast on his corpse and shit him into the ocean. Welcome to the Red Isle. Tell your uncle I'm making the arrangements now.
Any luck?
It's done.
I'll speak to Mirren and see when the bribes can be made. Wait here.
Then we made it. The voyage is over.
We'll see what happens when this debt is repaid.
If only Carver were here with us.
And Wesley. Let's go. This is only the beginning.
Thus began the champion's first year in Kirkwall. Word arrived from across the sea that the hero of Ferelden had defeated the Blight. But Lothering was destroyed. Kirkwall was the champion's home now. So she made her name, settling her debts with the mercenaries. It was a busy year in the city. That's when the Kunari landed. A great storm had caught their ship and left hundreds of warriors stranded in the city, waiting to return home. That's also when the trouble began with the mages. The Templars had become very powerful under Knight Commander Meredith. But, most importantly, that's when I first met the champion.
No. Andraste's tits, human. You know how many people want to hire onto this expedition?
But we heard you're going into the deep roads. Surely you'll need all the help you can...
No. You're too late. Already done. This is a sort of venture that can make a man for life. I'm not about to take any chances hiring random humans.
This expedition can open doors for us in this city. We have to go with you.
You're looking for a quick way out of the slums, right? You and every other Ferelden in this dump. Find another meal ticket.
What are we supposed to do now? We've got nothing to stop the next person who tries to sell us out. This expedition was our last chance.
Now, I'm conflicted here because, like I said, Hawk... She does care about her sister, but at the same time, she's not too fond of the whole Mage Templar thing. And this can be really bad here, where it's like, hey, the Templars are your problem, sis. You know, because basically putting the blame on her just for being a mage. So, normally, obviously, I'm usually going for this type of run with the aggressive choices, but honestly, I'm just like, this is going to be one of those times where the caring, protective big sister actually comes out.
We've made a name for ourselves this last year. We'll find something.
We have to. We need coin, status, something we can hide behind. As long as we're just refugees, we're no one. Maybe Gamlen knows someone who can talk to Bartram for us.
Gamlen is the reason we've been here for a year.
He got us into Kirkwall. We've been safe so far. We might as well ask. Otherwise, I don't know what we'll do.
You saw two of our favorite dwarves back there, right? We'll talk to them in a moment.
Hey!
Awesome intro.
I knew a guy once who could take every coin out of your pockets just by smiling at you. But you don't have the style to work Hightown, let alone the Merchants Guild. You might want to find yourself a new line of work. Off you go. How do you do? Varric Tethras, at your service. I apologize for Bartrand. He wouldn't know an opportunity if it hit him square in the jaw.
But you would.
I would. What my brother doesn't realize is that we need someone like you. He would never admit it either. He's too proud. I, however, am quite practical.
What makes you so certain we can help? You know nothing about us.
Oh, on the contrary. You've made quite the name for yourself over the last year. Serving with the Red Iron is no mean feat. Yet you not only served, you impressed. The name Hawk is on many lips these days. Not bad for a Ferelden fresh off the boat.
You must have heard of my sister as well, then.
Only a little. She is certainly welcome to come, but I'll leave that up to you.
Frankly, I'd rather you take the credit.
Madam, your secrets are safe with me.
Find out what he's offering. We need a way into this expedition.
You're part of Bartrand's venture.
That's right. The deep roads wouldn't normally be my thing, but I can't allow the head of our family to go down there alone. So as you might imagine, I have more than a passing interest in this expedition's success.
If I haven't made it clear by this point, I love Brian Bloom's voice acting. He's a huge reason why Varric is one of my favorite characters in the entire Dragon Age series. He is awesome. He is one of those really great charismatic characters that I just cannot help but love. You know, there's so much great lines and banter throughout this game with Varric that just either put a smile on my face or had me laughing really, like, almost hysterically, because it's just so good. It's only well written in my opinion, but his voice acting is what really helps sells it. And it's especially when he interacts with other characters throughout this game. You know, because Varric is the type of character who immediately can kind of gravitate towards how a character is, even giving them nicknames and just kind of, you know, knowing how to talk to them or work them.
He said he didn't need another guard.
We don't need another hireling. We need a partner. The truth is, Bartrand's been tearing his beard out trying to fund this on his own, but he can't do it. Invest in the expedition. 50 sovereigns and he can't refuse. Not with me there to vouch for you.
Why would you stick your neck out for a complete stranger?
I'd rather take a chance on someone with your reputation than head into the deep roads unprepared. And besides, we'd be your partners. I'm willing to give a little trust if you are.
Your brother doesn't seem like the sort who's willing to split profits.
My brother is many things, but he is not stupid. Far better to share the profits than be trapped in a tide with 1,000 darkspawn between you and the exit. Trust me, he'll come around.
If I had coin to invest, I wouldn't need this job in the first place.
You need to think big. There's only a brief window after a blight when the deep roads won't be crawling with darkspawn. The treasure you find down there could set you and your family up for life.
It won't be easy, but it's a chance. I think we have to take it. Better to work our way into this expedition than sit around waiting to be thrown in the gallows.
We work together, you and I, and before you know it, you'll have all the capital you need. What do you say?
What's to stop you from taking my investment and running?
You'll be traveling with the expedition, and I'll be at your side. If I cross you, you'll be the first one to know, and I'll be the last.
You're asking me to take a lot on faith.
You're asking for a guarantee? I don't know that I can give you one. Look, I know the Templars have been asking questions. How terrible would it be to get out of the city for a while? If this works out, you'll be wealthy enough that the Order won't be able to touch you. You need the coin, and I need your help. We need each other. I can't make it sound better than that.
What makes you so certain you'll be useful to me?
I know everyone in this city worth knowing. I can help you find the jobs you need, and if you don't need me for that, there's always Bianca.
Bianca.
You named your crossbow.
And why not? She's a beauty. Isn't that right, sweetheart?
There might be nothing down there except darkspawn and rubble. How can you be sure we'll make a profit?
Well, Bartrand isn't grasping at strings. He's operating on some good information. Some of the deep roads are so old, even the dwarves have forgotten them. We just need to get down there. Then Bartrand will lead the way. You and I will be there to handle problems.
Like, there's a part of me that's hesitating because, let's just say I don't like being this way towards Varric, because I love Varric. He's awesome. And it's very easy to actually fall into a rivalry with Varric in this game if you keep going with these aggressive choices. But, you know, the way that the friendship rivalry system works in this game is actually quite different compared to, say, the approval system from Origins, where if you had low approval, you actually ran the risk of them just outright leaving you or even turning hostile on you. That's not the case with the rivalry system. In fact, there are times, like with Meryl, where I actually almost always go full rivalry in that case, but it doesn't necessarily cause them to leave. In fact, it actually causes them to do things that I would prefer they do, especially when it comes to Meryl's case. I'll explain more so when we get there, but just because you go rival doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. If you actually go full rival, you actually almost guarantee that they're going to be still have loyalty to you, just as a rival more so than as a friend, but it will actually increase your chance of them siding with you as opposed to against you later on. I know that sounds weird, but yeah, that's actually how that works.
If this is a trick, you'll pay for it, dwarf.
Wonderful. I'll take that as a yes.
Wonderful.
It's crawling with work. You set aside some coin from every job and you'll have the money in no time.
Maybe Aveline can find us some work. She's got a position with the city guard now.
We should talk privately when you get the chance. In the Hanged Man, maybe. I'll be there when I'm not with you. Now, let's go see what trouble we can stir up. Hightown, where the rich go to piss their money away. This really is the best place in Kirkwall.
So yep, Varric joins our party. Our two good friends, Bodan and Sandu!
Bodan Feddick, purveyor of goods both common and rare, at your service. And this is my son, Sandor, who is as brilliant an enchanter as you'll ever find. Say hello to the nice human, Sandor.
Hello.
We shall be accompanying your expedition and providing the needed supplies. It's all quite exciting, isn't it?
We'll face both Darkspawn and the Unknown.
Indeed. And who knows what shall await us at the end. But I digress. Do you wish to peruse my wares, or perhaps make use of Sandal's unique talents?
Enchantment?
Just so.
You two don't seem the sort to hire onto this sort of expedition.
My son and I have never played it safe. Never captured a tried and true rose. In fact, we have just returned from adventures while accompanying the hero of Ferelden, legendary Grey Warden and vanquisher of the Blight.
So you helped to defeat the Blight?
In our small way, perhaps. We did not fight at the Grey Warden's side, of course. I hear that the hero is married to the Queen now. Fancy that. A Grey Warden ruling Ferelden. But surely my past is hardly of interest to the likes of you.
I thought all enchanters were mages.
Not at all. The fabled dwarven resistance to magic has allowed enchantment of crafts for countless ages. Granted, most dwarven smiths must work for many, many years to learn the skill, but my boy is a natural, a savant beyond compare.
I like enchantment.
And he enjoys his work. What more could one ask?
I'm sorry, that made me chuckle. He's quite the savant, as he scratches his butt. I'm sorry, that made me laugh.
Let's see what you have.
By all means, feel free to peruse my wares whenever you wish.
Not really going to bother with that right now. I am, however... Oh, I actually don't have any junk yet. Alright, well that's stuff I can mess around with later off camera, I guess. Alright, well... I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. One of the first things I actually want to do is head to Lowtown and go to our house, because I have some things to unlock and acquire when we get there. So even though we should be going to Abilene, giving ourselves a pool party, it's not really that big a deal right now. But I think, yeah, going back to Lowtown is going to be a good idea. Plus, we may actually just quickly go over to, to Bartrand here and let him know, hey, by the way, I'm going to invest, so just hold off and I will bring you the money. So, anyways, we will be doing that when we come back. Stay tuned.